I received review copies of Magic Rabbit, Peanut Club and Oh My Brain for the purposes of this video, so thanks to Hachette Board Games UK. Flip the 2.5 minute timer, then attempt to reorder 9 rabbits and hats so that every rabbit is under a matching hat in ascending numerical order, but no one's allowed to speak, and those doves are going to get in your way. Think you've cracked it? Well, open one of the envelopes and add a few more hurdles to increase the challenge. Magic Rabbit is a speedy, cooperative game of peeking, swapping and memorising tiles. But that's not the hook. Rid yourself of cards by playing them from your hand and refilling from your cemetery stand. Every card has to be higher than the last, and if you can't play, you lose a brain. The first player to lose all their brains loses the game, and the player with the most brains remaining wins. Oh My Brain is a zombified twist on a traditional card shedding game, but that's not the hook either. Reveal 1, 2 or 3 objects and auction them off to the players. Bids can be made in millions of dollars, or in camels, or in peanuts. But the respective value of those 3 currencies can change. Players try to amass sets of coloured symbols to win the game. Peanut Club is an auction card game with multiple currencies and loads of chaotic player powers. But nope, that's not the hook. The Coffee Break series from Lumberjacks Studio is a curated range of accessible tabletop experiences with great art, distinctive graphic design and stylish packaging. That's the real hook. I'm Adam Porter. I design games and I review them on this channel with a focus on product design. If you enjoy what I do, please comment, like and subscribe to the channel. Oh My Brain, Magic Rabbit and Peanut Club are 3 titles from French publisher Lumberjacks Studio which have been released over the last few years but debuted in English towards the end of 2022. Oh My Brain is a card game for 2 to 5 players by prolific designers Bruno, Cathala and Theo, Rivière. It's based on a traditional card game, sometimes known as Karma or Palace, though I've always known it by a more offensive title which I won't repeat here. Magic Rabbit is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players by a team of French designers, and Peanut Club is an auction game for 3 to 6 players by Henri Kermarrec. In Peanut Club, players are attempting to build up sets of matching icons by purchasing items in an open auction. At the start of each round, 1, 2 or 3 items are revealed, and then players start bidding. There are 3 different currencies: camels, peanuts and millions of dollars. And the relative value of the 3 types is determined by their position in the display. Any offer in a higher ranked currency will beat an offer in a lower ranked currency, irrespective of the numbers involved. So in this instance, for example, a bid of 1 camel would beat a bid of $7 million. But the auctions are never straightforward because every player has the option to use a number of special abilities, which can alter the ranking of the different currencies, or force players to use a specific currency for an auction, or reduce every card to a value of 1, irrespective of the number written on it. These abilities can generally be used only once, but at a certain point in the game, a card is revealed which allows players to take back any abilities that they've already used to use for a second time. At the end of the game, the player with the highest scoring sets of icons is declared the winner. In Magic Rabbit, rabbits numbered 1 to 9 are shuffled and placed face down. Matching hats, also numbered 1 to 9, are shuffled and placed on top of the rabbits, face up. Finally, doves are placed on top of a few of the piles. The 2.5 minute timer is flipped and the players start taking turns in silence. You're not allowed to talk to the other players around the table. Everybody's cooperating in an attempt at placing rabbits and hats in their correct positions in ascending numerical order from 1 to 9. On your turn, you can do 1 action, either peek at the rabbit beneath a hat, or swap the position of 2 hats, or swap the position of 2 piles, hat and rabbit together. The doves block you from doing any of these things, but at the end of your turn, you're allowed to move 1 dove to a new position. And that's it. When the timer runs out, flip over the tiles and see how you've done. When you've completed the basic version of the game, you're encouraged to open one of the envelopes included in the box, and these add in extra tiles with special rules and new hurdles to make the game more challenging. Combining the various modules results in 50 or more different possible variants with graded difficulty levels. In Oh My Brain, each player starts with 9 brains, a hand of cards and 3 in your cemetery stand. On your turn, if you can, you add 1 or more cards to a central pile. If you're unable to do so, you lose a brain and the central pile is discarded. You can add a single card or multiple cards of the same value, and the cards must be of a higher value than the top card of the pile. If you add multiple cards, only one is placed on the pile and the others are placed into the cemetery stands of your opponents. Some cards, of course, have special abilities. The 0 could be placed on top of any card. To play on top of a spider, you have to play a lower value. The mouse clears the central pile, and any card with a marshmallow icon forces you to roll a die with various random effects. Steal cards or brains, add cards to opponents' cemeteries, or take another turn. If you have fewer than 3 cards in hand, you can refill with cards from your cemetery, and the round ends when one player ends their turn with no cards in their cemetery or hand. All other players lose a brain, and a new round is played. When one player loses their final brain, the game ends, and the player with the most brains remaining wins the game. Now, the major selling point for these products is the outward presentation. The games all feature similar packaging, and the boxes are distinctive and modern. Notably, there's no box back, just a large picture showcasing the great art. Each of the games has a different artist, but the look is consistent, linking the titles despite their differing play styles. Instead of a box back loaded with information, each game features a magnetised folded cover with a brief rules overview beneath, as well as a sliding drawer to contain the components, and a thin slip to contain the brief instructions. Frankly, this presentation is gorgeous and it should attract attention. The next step in onboarding players is the rules, and these are very easy to follow for all 3 games. Certainly, Peanut Club is the most involved of the 3, but it's a testament to the simplicity of Magic Rabbit and Oh My Brain that Peanut Club's extremely simple rule set seems complex by comparison. Now, I frequently moan on this channel that rulebooks are too often an afterthought for board game publishers, and frankly, in some cases I could extend that criticism to packaging too. That's certainly not the case here. These games are brilliantly realised by Lumberjacks Studio, and first impressions for any purchaser are likely to be very positive. With my ladder engagement system, I rate games between 0 and 3 points in 5 categories. Each point scored climbs the game 1 rung up the engagement ladder. An overall score of 10 or above reaches the top rung and indicates a real favourite with me. These games do not really immerse players in their themes. The magic show references in Magic Rabbit are merely set dressing, and the spooky zombies eating brains narrative of Oh My Brain is a fun backdrop, but it has no connection to gameplay. Peanut Club fares a little better in that we are literally carrying out an auction, which is also the narrative of the game, but the use of multiple currencies and the chaotic player powers have no obvious connection to reality. Meaningful interaction is where these games really sing. Oh My Brain is full of targeted attacks on opponents, and big swings back and forth determine who's leading in any given round. Despite no verbal communication, Magic Rabbit is extremely interactive. There's a lot of staring between the players, willing other players to make your desired move, to read your intentions. In that sense, it has a feel of The Mind, that classic silent co-op game from NSV. And of course, you can't get much more interactive than a straight-up auction. Peanut Club is wildly interactive and in your face, especially when players start utilising their ability tokens to manipulate the outcome of an auction. All 3 games score full marks for meaningful interaction. The next category is tension, stress and challenge. Again, all 3 games score high. The 2.5 minute timer in Magic Rabbit is tight, and as a result, the game is intense. It's a tricky puzzle, even when played at its most basic, and every additional module adds to the challenge. Oh My Brain is a totally different type of game, but it's also very tense. When other players target you repeatedly and your cemetery is filling up, you really feel the heat. But of course, more cards means more options, and it's surprising how quickly you can redistribute large stacks of cards, bringing you back into the game. The end of each round is punishing, with all players losing 1 brain for each card remaining in their hand or cemetery, which means you could be going into a final round with only 1 or 2 brains remaining. That makes you the target for the leading player, because if they eliminate you, they're going to win the game instantly. But all the other players will focus their attacks on that leader. They don't want you eliminated, because that'll end the game and award the victory to someone else. Peanut Club is a set collection game, and as such there are certain items you really want because they're going to combine with other items that you've already collected to form high scoring sets. That adds urgency to the auctions, and the game is pretty tense as a result. Feedback describes the way in which a game responds to your input. the effect of your actions, whether that's rewards for yourself, impact on other players, or an altered game state. Magic Rabbit is too rapid to provide any real feedback in-game. The game is simply won or lost whenever the timer runs out. But the envelope system does reward players for their successes, offering up new modes of play and extra challenges. Peanut Club features a selection of special actions which allow players to radically change the course of a round of play. It's a really dynamic, lively system. And Oh My Brain features a good amount of feedback too. When you play multiple matching cards, you can distribute them to other players' cemeteries. Dice rolls reward you with additional cards or brains, and playing a special card, a 0, 8 or 11, changes the game state significantly. If you can't play a card, the central pile is cleared and you collect cards and lose a brain. The decisions in Oh My Brain are fairly obvious. It's not a cerebral game. You generally just play the cards you have and hope for the best. But there are more choices to be made in this iteration than the traditional game on which it's based, largely because of the cemetery mechanism, which allows players some control over the cards they draw into their hand. Magic Rabbit features rapid decisions, when and where to swap tiles, and how to communicate your intention to your teammates without speaking. But Peanut Club involves the deepest decisions of the three. Though you probably won't notice, because the anarchy of the wild auctions obscures the ingenuity of the game mechanisms. In every round, you'll be evaluating the relative value of the items on offer, but you're also playing to scupper your opponent's plans through clever use of your special ability tiles. It feels light and chaotic, and every round is full of laughter, but there are meaningful choices to be made at every stage. I'm deducting 1 point from Peanut Club because of the end of game scoring. It's a simple enough system, 2 points for a pair of symbols and bonuses for white and black symbols, as well as the symbols matching your secret character card. But because the symbols are all printed on cards and some cards feature wild symbols, it's remarkably difficult to add it up. I was surprised by how much this soured the end of the game and impacted on my overall enjoyment. Ultimately, all three titles achieve extremely healthy scores. They're very engaging, and I can see myself returning to all of them frequently in the future. So moving on to my product design checklist. Are the games innovative? Well, there's nothing extremely new here. All three games are a riff on well-worn genres, but Peanut Club's hierarchy of three distinct currencies is a really neat twist, and it's impressive how, with Oh My Brain, Cathala and Rivière have managed to bring new life to a well-loved classic. Is there a need for products like this? Well, it's hard to see what problems they solve or which gap they fill in a saturated marketplace. Simple, accessible games are 10 a penny, but it's not so common to find such games with production values of this standard. There was a previous adaptation of Karma or Palace, the game on which Oh My Brain was based, called Ghost, adapted by Richard Garfield and published by Yellow. But Cathala and Rivière's version strays further from the source material, and at this point I'd say that Oh My Brain is the best option for anyone who wants a professionally published version of the game. Will the products grow with their user? Well, there's a lot to explore in Magic Rabbit particularly, with the large number of included variants, even though that central puzzle is slight. I can't see the game holding interest for a prolonged period. It's more of a novelty, fun to introduce to new players from time to time to see if they can overcome the challenge. Oh My Brain is not really deep enough to reveal any surprises after multiple plays, but I could see Peanut Club becoming a regular fixture for some groups, with meta games and conventions emerging from the complex, silly interactions that it offers. From a product design perspective, the big success here is the branding. Lumberjacks Studio is following in the footsteps of other game publishers with successful ranges of affordable, accessible, portable games with stylish, eye-catching graphic design. Yellow's mini games, Dry Magierspieler's Ugly Bug range, Helvetique's Pocket range, and perhaps most notably Oink's diverse catalogue of games in tiny packages. But even among this esteemed company, the packaging for Lumberjacks Studio's range stands out. The games are all solid, or at least these three are. I haven't sampled any others in the range. So as long as the quality of the rule sets remain high, this could become another series which purchasers follow and collect. The most successful commercial products tend to have a great idea at their core and fantastic execution by both designer and publisher. None of the three games has an outstanding commercial idea. A description of the gameplay sounds fun, but it's unlikely to stand out from the hordes of similar titles. The outward presentation is excellent, and the rulebooks are very well written and laid out. The execution by the publisher is outstanding, but Peanut Club is hampered by lacking a 2-player mode, and Oh My Brains is really at its best with 3 or more. This impacts a little on the likely commercial success of the games. As a result, the games sit in the green-yellow section of the grid, and that's a good place to be. The coffee break games thus far are not going to trouble the market leaders in this genre, Dobble, Exploding Kittens, Uno, but they are well made, beautifully presented and really fun, and I predict they'll find a following. For me, I see all 3 staying in my rotation of games. Magic Rabbit is just a great cooperative puzzle. It's wonderful with 2 players in a short time slot. Oh My Brains is simple, silly, in-your-face fun. And Peanut Club has some neat mechanisms which are likely to appeal to hobbyists while remaining accessible enough for newcomers. All 3 are recommended. If you'd like to learn more about some simple, portable, accessible fillers that you can play in a short time frame, then check out this link and look at my top 100 all-killer, all-filler board games. And I'll see you next time. All the best.